Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of the Making Awesome podcast. We're joined by Marlene. We're not joined by Jacob. I don't even know if Jacob knew we were doing this. It's way too late where Jacob is. Jacob's in the UK. It's way too late for him to be awake, so it's a two-person show this time. Marlene, you have one of the most fascinating histories in this industry of how you
Thank you.
got to where you are. So I'm going to need the Backstreet Boys from you. Do you know the Backstreet Boys?
Of course.
Yeah, I need the who you are, the where you from, the what you did, and as long as you love me.
Okay. Okay. Who you are, where are you from? Well, so I'm Marleen. I'm Marleen Vogelaar. I am from the Netherlands, but I've been in the US for 16 years now. I live on the East Coast. And so you can probably clearly hear that I'm not American. And so who are you? Where are you from? What was this? Damn, what's the
What you
song about?
did.
Oh, what you did. Maybe I'll take a little bit more time for that then. Um, so what you did is just to to get to the topic. In 2008, I was the co-founder of a company called Shapeways, which I'm currently the CEO of. Back then, when we co-founded the company in the Netherlands, it was the world's first upload and 3D print service. So now quoting and automatic quoting is actually really, really normal. But we were the first one to develop a way and a system to be able to read a file and immediately be able to say, okay, if you want to print it, this is what it's going to cost you. And that was actually quite revolutionary. So
Yes.
I guess I'm part of 3D printing history in that way of having built that, me and the team of Shapeways. And that company grew really quickly. We were very focused on the consumer market at the time. There were so many 3D enthusiasts at the time, like way less than now, of course. But there was a substantial group of people who had 3D files on their computer, but 3D desktop printers were still a little challenging, to put it like that.
That's the nice way to say it. Yeah, they were pretty terrible.
I want
Uh,
to I want to say rickety, but I'm not really sure if that's the right English word for it.
I started in 2008 as well, and when your printer, you build it out of wood, that should be your first clue. And for those of us that
Yes.
live south of the Mason-Dixon, where it is
Yeah.
so swampy down here that literally your printer accuracies would change throughout the day as the wood was
Depending on the humidity.
swelling. Yeah, it's...
Yeah. Yeah. Much love to Bree out there, but yeah, we have a cupcake and I don't think we ever got it up and running. It's
But
still somewhere in the garage at Shapeways.
it's good to have that because it kind of reminds us of like, oh yeah, this was really tough back in the day. Now you use one of the modern printers, you're like, oh, this is just kind of like an appliance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's different. But I also like it because it has opened up 3D printing for so much more people. But what happened is basically there were all these people who wanted to transform, bits into atoms. And an old colleague of mine, Dwan, always said that. And I like to steal that quote from him. And and they were just amazed by it. Still 3D printing is quite magical for a lot of people, especially
Oh
everybody
yeah.
who's new to this, because you can create it. But back then, it was just absolutely magical. And so we had this service, and we printed with, printing really ugly beige ABS. and and then it became more and more and more. And by the time we moved the company to New York, we got like massive VC investment from famous VCs. It became this whole roller coaster ride. There was a lot of in back in those days, MakerBot was becoming really big. We
Yep.
kind of rode together on this wave of enthusiasm around 3D printing. Um, and then in 2014, I left the company. Um, and in 2024, I came back. So, but yeah, that's a longer story. But the short story is that um, Wall Street Greed kind of got the best of the old Shapeways. But there was a core team in the Netherlands that really cared about the customers, that really cared about 3D printing. And in early 2024, I reconnected with my old team. We knew, and Shapeways had gone through a whole trajectory of IPO and all that kind of stuff. And my old team, we got reconnected and we said, okay, let's save the company because we saw it was going to go bankrupt. And what we did, and there's a longer story behind it, but basically we saved the company, we bought the assets out of bankruptcy, and that's a nice story on its own. But we bought it back. But it was back then, it was already a B2B company. So it had transformed into a B2B company, but there was still a marketplace. And this is kind of how we get to tonight's subject. Um, there was still a marketplace at Shapeways, which was the first marketplace where designers could make money selling 3D prints. Um, and there was still a very decent sized marketplace at Shapeways, even though they had not invested in it. But when the company was bankrupted, we could not revive the marketplace because all of those files were owned by the designers,
Right.
and so the trustee deleted it all. And so the marketplace was gone. And then I ended up getting connected. I ended up connecting with a number of 3D file sharing marketplaces to see if I could collaborate with them because I wanted to find a new home for these makers, these 3D designers who wanted to still sell and make money because it was their income, it was their livelihood, and it was gone all of a sudden. And so I'm like, okay, what do I do? And I try to do a biz dev deal and say, look, if can I put a print on demand service on your website, and then we can move all these designers into your website, and these people can start, go back
It
to
makes
making their
sense.
money.
Yeah.
And then I got the ability to buy Thangs because I called and they were like, well, we're actually for sale because the parent company of Thangs was going really into a B2B arena. They didn't want to be in the B2C. Their investors didn't want that. And so in 1 year, I bought back assets. In a half year time, I bought back assets in the Netherlands of Shapeways, bought back American assets of Shapeways, and a couple of days later, I bought Thangs. So that was a little bit of a yeah, busy time, I would say. And now, we've been running Thanks for about a year and a half, and we've welcomed in the Shapeways community. And of course, there's a little bit of a different type of community because Thanks is very FDM based, of
Yes.
course, and Shapeways had a little bit of different blood, but slowly it's starting to merge and starting to build out. And some of the 3D designers from the old days are doing file sharing, and some of the file sharers from the old days are now really starting to open up to do print on demand as well. And with Thangs, we just really want to build, the place for consumers and makers alike to build great projects. That's where we want to go. So
And look, that's your whole history, like the Phoenix Rising of Shapeways, is a story that I would love to cover, but that is not the main topic of this.
no,
So
not today, yeah.
if you all want to hear about what I can confidently say is a proper boss babes story, let us know. I would use a different word, but I don't really know how that's gonna go over, so I'm going with boss babe. If you want to know more of
Yeah.
Marlene's backstory and her history, let us know, and maybe we can convince her to come back on the normal time, though. But this
Yeah.
one is important. We wanted to get this out to you all because time's running out, and
Yeah.
our voices need to be heard as a community. And you are one of the people who are standing alongside of people like David Tobin, Louis Rossman, Steve Build, and others fighting for the rights of the users.
Yeah.
So can we
Yeah.
talk about like what that's been like to get called upon to fly across the country to stand up in front of people that have no viable impact on your current future and still fight for those that believe in you?
Well, it's been a really strange trajectory. I was a bit hesitant about it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But what I saw happening, but now the tide is rising in a way, and
Yes.
the resistance is rising, but it's not enough yet. I really appreciate everybody who is who stood up, who came to Sacramento, one or multiple times, who've put in letters of objection, whatever you've done, contacted lawmakers, etc. I I appreciate it very much, but the reason why I went to Sacramento and why I've piped up is because it's if you look at the community that we have, our makers, there's two sides of this marketplace. Our designers make money You
Yep.
know, their livelihood depends on the quality of the designs that they make and that they can sell. And their IP is everything to them.
That's right.
That's how they make their money. And now their IP, like, and it's my within Thangs, I have to protect. Even though people sell their IP through Thangs, I have it. We have it on our databases. I can only
Yep.
release it to somebody who pays for it, and I have to guard it otherwise. I've seen what happened with Shapeways. That this stuff just got deleted by a trustee, and what it does to designers is horrible.
Yep.
And so one, I have to defend the livelihood of designers, but then makers, on the other hand, if you're making something and you're at home printing something, I think that the idea of digital surveillance, which this is what is this actually about, is just from a philosophical point of view not okay. It's the same thing as if I have a sewing machine and somebody's going to say, well, you cannot make a tank top out of it, but you can only sew pants.
Yeah,
Or
can't show any midriff. We're not gonna let you cut them
like,
short.
no, exactly, no bras for you. Like, it's like it's like what I do with the tooling in my house is up to me, and it should not be, it should not be monitored.
Yeah.
That there are already laws that forbid me from, doing illegal things. And I have no intent to ever make a gun. I don't want to make a gun. I have zero interest in this. But that's already forbidden in the state of California.
Mhm.
So there doesn't need to be a law that then says, okay, well, now we're going to check if you're actually doing this. So the reason why I hesitated is because I'm not, like I'd love to see less gun violence in the United States. I'm in favor of reducing gun violence in the US. I'm not, I'm a European, so I'm not, and people might get angry with me at a big 2A enthusiast, not at all. But I also don't want to be dogmatic saying, hey, I'm a left wing person or I'm a right wing person and I'm just going to follow whatever these parties
Right.
say. We have to
Right.
think for ourselves. And if something's wrong, then it's just wrong. And then I have to stand up for it. And
Agreed.
I was like, okay, I think from an industry perspective, I think it was really needed that not only the makers stand up and that the individuals stand up. I thought it was important that also businesses say this is not okay,
Yep.
and that's why I went there. Even though I really don't want to be associated with guns or violence or anything like that, because I don't want this. I don't want my community to my website.
Right.
The Thanks is for should be is also for kids.
That's right.
So, and it needs to be friendly for that. So, yeah, so I was a bit hesitant, but then I was like, okay, if I come, with my name between Thangs and then Shapeways, maybe it helps, build momentum for other companies to also feel more encouraged to do so. And what has happened is that the reaction so far has been really positive in the sense
Yes.
that it's not like, oh, she's a gun nut and she just wants to shoot everybody. Sorry, but please don't.
Yeah, I
But
don't think the Dutch lady is ever gonna come off as a gun nut. Sorry. No offense to the gun nuts in the Netherlands, but sorry guys. The
yeah,
the
so
South kind of has that one in the bag already, and y'all ain't
no,
there.
everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Um, but I think in this case, this sets a precedent, and this is another reason why I piped up, is like,
Yeah.
look, this is a digital surveillance law. It has nothing to do with guns, to be honest, and I'd rather
Nope.
not talk about them.
Agreed.
This is a digital surveillance law. It sets a precedent for everything else. Because now, if this is okay, then if you have a 2D printer at your home and you want to write something, with bad words in it, then that's not allowed next time. Like, where does this end? It sets a precedent of surveillance of citizens, and it's strange that the government is hiring businesses to do that checking for them. So like it's like, wait a minute, if I break the law, the police can come catch me and then justice will take care of it if I'm guilty. That's how it's supposed to work. But now
Yep.
it's like, well, if you might want to intend to break the law for anybody, we're going to check anybody so then we can see, we'll have like a private business. Well, I have like whoever gets hired to put software on 3D printers, which I think is challenging on its own.
It is very.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's strange that a company, that companies are required by law to then figure out what a human being is doing at home in their own privacy of their home. And I think that's just not okay. Like there's so many levels of breaking the First Amendment, the Fourth, the Fifth. And I think doing it under the guise of gun control, because so many people want to have decent gun control, that people don't realize what they're actually voting for. Like,
Yeah. They look at the headline, they don't actually read the bill, they don't listen to
yeah,
both sides, and like you said, they kind of vote along party lines.
party
Like,
lines.
yeah, we've talked about it before where it's like, are there really Democrats in California that want to be seen as being soft on gun control? Like, I
Yeah,
get it, right?
yeah,
If you want to start this idea of a police state where the government can kind of see into what you're doing, yeah, you start with the states where it's an easy win. Look, don't hate the player, hate the game on that one. But the problem is they mess with the wrong group of people. They messed with the makers, and the makers,
yeah,
love us or hate us, we're a bit of a persnickety bunch. We like to actually read things, which they were likely banking on we weren't going to do. And, well,
yeah,
people like David Tobin said, actually, no. And
yeah,
here's why. And he's gotten so many of us on board with this fight of like, no, this isn't about gun control. Every town is very smart for doing their best to make it about that, right? From a political standpoint, they've done a great job of making it like that, but it doesn't matter. It's not about gun control. It's about actual control of what you can and can't do with the things that you own.
yeah. And what's interesting when we were in Sacramento, and also the week after, when it was 2 weeks later, with the next committee, the people who are voting in favor, who were like, you could, of course, you had two testimonies in favor,
Right.
two testimonies against, and then you have people who can say their name and their affiliation and if they're opposed or in favor. And the people in favor were all like really kind, lovely, mostly older women, to be honest. But they were all they all they don't understand 3D printing. They don't understand that 3D printed guns are actually not really a thing at all.
Yep.
Like, there's never been a completely 3D printed gun ever. It doesn't exist. So they just believe the fear mongering of every town for gun safety, that this is an actual problem.
Yep.
Um, and so they vote in favor. And then everybody else who came, about 50 when I was there, and then about 250 that showed up 2 weeks later, these were professors, accountants, engineers, makers, SpaceX engineers, like
People smarter than you and I.
moms, dads, medical people who are like curing cancer
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
3D printing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's such a diverse group of people with different backgrounds, but what they all were united in is that they actually understand the technology that they're working with, understand also the limitations when it comes to actually making a gun with it. And they also understand the implications that if you're going to restrict creativity, if you're going to surveil people, if you're going to reduce competition, because now 3D printers are going to be more expensive, it's going to be very costly to the state. It's going to drive entrepreneurs out. It's going to make criminals out of people who are not criminals. So they understand that you're not actually solving gun violence with it, because it has, like, if you have this is gun violence, it's 0.00000,
Right.
like
Right.
something percent that has to do with 3D printing. And then we don't even know if it has to do with 3D printing. It's never been the active part of the gun. So you could have also gone to Home Depot and taken a piece of wood and whittled something.
Arguably much easier, by the way.
Yes. So
much easier than buying a 3D printer, learning all the skills, doing it, then adding all the metal you need to do it so it doesn't explode, and then go and do it. 20 minutes at Home Depot and you're done. Okay?
yeah.
It's not you don't even need to leave the store to fully assemble it. Like, they're going after the wrong thing.
It's
And
yeah, but it's nonsensical. The
it's
thing is that
completely nonsensical.
so the people who were in opposition are the people who actually understand it and also can relate it to how how bad it is like how big the impact is in gun violence, and the people who just go with their emotions, like I'm
Yep.
against this. Yeah, I'm also against gun deaths. Like it wholly, but like think a little bit further along. And what did I want to say? What did you just say? Um, now I forget my point.
Sorry.
Um, but it doesn't matter. But it was just the juxtaposition of those two things was just incredible. And what I also noticed, I spoke to some of these ladies, and they were like really lovely and kind. And it was actually we had very decent conversation
Yeah.
with them, sitting and waiting. Um, and what they didn't understand is like, well, even if it saves one life, then it's worth it. And like, do you actually understand the implications for the economy, for creativity, for IP that might get leaked? I don't know where. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
I would almost think that probably people will lose their lives if you think about the medical side of 3D printing, more so if you restrict 3D printing because of this law than if you try to do this. Oh, and this is my main point. If you want to solve gun violence, 3D printing is the last thing you want to start working on. There
Agreed.
is smarter things that cost less money, that don't need technology that is non-existent and is not going to work. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And like, look, I think it's difficult for anyone to sit here and say, well, I don't want to solve the gun violence problem. I think everyone sits here and says, well, people shooting each other's, for no reason is kind of stupid. But like you said,
Yeah.
this is not the right place to do it. 99.9 many
Nine.
nines percent of users of 3D printing are all doing it for completely valid, legal, pretty friggin' awesome reasons and ways. And that is
People
what
print
makes this community.
cups.
Sure, cups. I just did we're switching over to V-mount batteries for our filming stuff, and
Yeah.
they have exposed contacts on the bottom. Like this is
Yeah.
for some sort of special camera rig that's way more expensive than mine, but on printables, found the part. TPU fits right on. Great.
Yeah.
Safe. Like, if anything,
Yeah.
I just made something safer with 3D printing. Like, it is insane to me that there are people that think this. And I often feel that 9 times out of 10, stop sliding. 9 times out of 10, it is because they are uneducated on the subject. And it
Yeah,
feels like,
well, think about it. I mean, if you're printing like protection for a mouth guard
yeah,
because you do like American football or something, whatever, do you do you really want your medical data about what your mouth looks like on the inside, be checked by a third party that you didn't give it? Because
preferably not.
I mean, that's just a mouth guard, but
Yeah.
there's other body parts that get scanned nowadays.
I mean, we've all seen the issues with like the 23andMe, the DNA sequencing testing, and it now getting sold, and all the data is being sold. People are like, well, wait a minute, this is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. We told you this was a stupid idea when it first came out, you
And
dingus
and,
heads,
and
and now you're realizing the error of your ways.
yeah. Yeah, and you're making 3D printer manufacturers, they're forcing 3D printer manufacturers to put this software onto their printers.
Yes.
And even if that's, 3D printers are pretty dumb. Like
As someone that does a lot of 3D printing, no offense to any of you watching
out
me,
there.
because every one of you I know can hear this. Yes, 3D printers are dumb.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the dumbest thing in the 3D printer room is often me, right? I'm the one that stabs myself and burns myself with 3D
Yeah.
printer stuff all the time. But I
Yeah.
firmly do believe the machines can hear us and they can feel
I
when we're
know.
busy, because
At
that's the
Shapeways,
only
you
time
give
they
them a
fight.
name, so
Thank you. I'm not the only one. All of our machines have some level of name. So when they're like acting a fool, we can at least personify that, right?
give them a pat on their cover.
Yeah.
So no, but 3D printers are pretty dumb. So in order to run software like this, you have to quite make a significant change to that, which
Yes.
will make 3D printers more expensive. I also think that competition in the market is incredibly important, so it drives innovation forward for 3D printers. And if you start forcing this, then it might push out very important 3D open source projects. It might force out smaller companies who cannot afford to put the software on. so they can't sell in California anymore, and then the next state, and then the next state, and before we know it, we end up of a, we're already moving slightly to oligopoly at this moment. And I don't think that from an open market perspective, I don't think that is very desirable.
No.
So, no.
I just don't think it's desirable, period. But from an open market perspective, it's definitely not desirable. And, we had some interesting comments, and this is one that I've had to have a think about too, because a lot of people are referencing the 2D printer, but they're referencing the fact that 2D printers can't photocopy money. And they're saying, well, if 2D printers can't photocopy money, why can't 3D printers make firearms? Like, why is that not in the same vein? I have my thoughts, but I'd like to know from you, what do you think about this? Like, 2D printers cannot, since like the mid 80s, cannot copy money. They can't do it.
No. No.
So how is that not the same thing as limiting a 3D printer from being able to print a firearm, or a firearm component, we should say?
Well, it's kind of this. The problem is why you can't print money is because you need certain materials for that you can't get in your house. So the same thing is if you want to 3D print a gun, I mean, the average 3D home printer prints with PLA. I mean, that is a plastic that is not very sturdy.
No.
It also melts quite quickly.
As someone that lives in Florida can confirm.
If you keep it in your garage in Arizona, it's gonna melt, and your garage is not cooled.
That is correct, yes.
So I think what's the same here is that the average consumer really does not have the materials in their home or the technology in their home available to 3D print a gun part at all. The setup to make the same thing, like the type of paper that you need for printing money, you can't even buy that. You can't even buy that paper. You can't get those inks. It's all very special. So there it just stops. Very simple. With 3D printing, it is basically impossible because you need to have the functioning parts, and those you still need to buy from a gun manufacturer. So you need more than a 3D printer to make a 3D printed gun. A 3D printed gun is never 100%, a 3D is never 100% 3D printed. Yeah, it just doesn't exist right now. And if by the time it will exist, you're going to need to have $1 million setup.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
So, which is not still more complicated than going to Home Depot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can make it so complicated, but the fact is the law currently doesn't really deal with the millions of printers that are already out there. There's nothing stopping that. There's nothing that's going to stop the underground market because, as we're well aware, criminals don't follow the law. So why would they care about this stuff? Like, my whole thing with the money versus firearms is like, well, money is a very set, specific thing. It's also a federal crime to print money.
Well, it's also a crime to print guns, to make gun in your house. Well, not in California.
Well, in California, yes, but
but not in every state.
Federally, though, it is not.
No, correct.
So federally, it is not. Yeah. Federally, it is illegal to make your own copy of the U.S. currency. That is not legal. And so we have identified a very clear and obvious difference. And, firearms are GSOs, as they like to say, gun-shaped objects, come in all shapes and sizes, and things that might be gun-shaped might not actually be a gun. Because I know this sounds crazy to some people, but a shape doesn't determine function. A shape, shape has no meaning, man. It's shape. Shapes do shape things.
No, and if you have a database, the thing is, you have two things. You have false positives.
Yep.
That's your point. And so you're making somebody a suspect, even though they have zero intent of using that particular cylinder in a gun. They might be using it for their garden hose. I don't know. Like, there's so many ways to use a cylinder.
Rifling a garden hose, that would actually be... Honestly, that would make it way better. Putting a rifled barrel on a garden hose. Now all of a sudden you've got a really dedicated stream of water. I'm upset about how good of an idea that is, like, just off the top of your head. That is so good.
Yeah, but
This
it's
is why
like
you're a
so
boss,
it's
babe.
so the shape, like how you use the shape, it is you know, you don't know that when it comes out. So you get a lot, you're gonna get a lot of false positives that way. That's one.
Yes.
But the second thing is that the guns get developed so quickly. There's new items on the market all of the time. If you're going to put, because now the proponents of this law say, well, you know, it's software that is pre-installed and is not connected to the internet, so you know, it's not going, your file's not going to go anywhere. It's just a local check. But then it's again, if you don't do it in the cloud, then it's complete nonsense because 5 minutes from now that software that got installed 2 years ago or half a year ago is not going to be up to date with whatever the latest defined gun parts are. So you're
Yeah.
also going to miss a whole lot. So it's kind of like you know, shooting with oh, I don't know the English word, with hail. Is that English? You know, like you just randomly shoot and I hope to hit something. It's like it's not full.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I'm just
that,
throwing a bunch of things out there. I'm throwing shit at the wall and I hope something hits it. You know
right.
sorry, my English is not helping me here.
You're fine.
Um,
We do not have
so
we do not have limitations on what we can and cannot say here.
yeah,
This
no,
being
but
a special episode, we can cuss as much as we want. I don't care.
okay, no,
Um,
but it's I'm not I have a bit of a potty mouth, but it's just it's almost like a random stochastic process by then. You know, if you have
yes.
a database that doesn't update itself,
Yep.
and if you are actually identifying shapes that it could be false positives.
Hmm.
I think there's also a problem with the fact that they took apart the bill. You know, some of the bill got amended because of all the protests, which is good. But they
It's
took
start.
out.
It's a start.
It's you know, it's a start, but it's not criminal, and it's not you know like if you now have. I have to say this right. If you now if you now have a printer and you take the software off or you and you don't use it, then that becomes it doesn't go through the criminal system anymore.
It's a civil
So
crime.
it becomes a civil crime.
That's
So
almost worse.
yes, it's
Yeah.
worse because now it's not the police is going to say, "Oh, you didn't have it on your printer," you know,
Well,
bad
and then you've
Marleen.
got
But now
Nancy Drew
you,
down the street narking on everybody.
yes. Now, but let's say I have a company
Yeah.
and you have a company too, and you and me are in competition, and you have a lot more money than I do. So you can pay for lawyers. Yeah? So now you're just going to go and raise a civil lawsuit against me. Yeah? Bleed me to death. So I have no more business. And just say, well, Marlene's printing without this software on her printers, or Marlene's printing things that are not allowed.
Dude, that's
And then,
so diabolical. Oh my
yes,
God, that's so diabolical.
it's terrible. And then what happens, even if I win the lawsuit, and it's
Yep.
like, no, I was perfectly clean and fine. I did everything the way it was
You're
supposed
still,
to do. I cannot get my money back.
yeah,
I
you're still
cannot
paying the
get.
lawyers.
I'm
Yeah.
still paying the lawyers, and I'm not going to get restitution. You're not going to be forced to pay that.
Yep. Yep.
So you can just so big companies can now completely destroy small companies this way.
Not that they haven't tried to destroy smaller companies with frivolous lawsuits in the past. This just happens to make it easier.
It makes it easier, and it's again when you go back to free market
Yep.
competition, all of those things. It's I don't think it's okay.
Let me back up a little bit to the false positive thing. Like, it's not like we have all of this good data sitting in front of us of what happens when we allow a private company to spy on citizens, and then what can happen when that company gives false positives to police. Not that we have any of that data laying around. Flock. Like, the amount of like, literally, you want the perfect example of what this looks like? It's Flock. It is exactly Flock, except the Flock camera is inside of your effing house. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but
Oh
I don't
God,
like
yeah.
that.
No, it's
I don't like that.
that was probably an understatement of you.
Yeah. The Flock example is just like, oh, that's such a good one. And with all like the very obvious problems we've seen in Flock, let's just ignore the police officers using it to track their exes and their
Oh
current,
yeah,
people around. That that in and of itself is a problem, but the false positives alone are enough for me to be like, okay, we've got ourselves a bit of a problem here. And how are my tax dollars going to that, and yet the roads are filled with potholes? But I digress. I digress. The
Yeah, and I think this whole like criminal versus civil lawsuit stuff is also this whole thing is going to be very costly for the state of California. And I
Oh yeah.
think that's why we need everybody who's watching this to actually. I hope you have a link,
Yes.
to the website, that really, because next week is the appropriations committee,
Yep.
and they are the people who are going to they look at the law and say like, is this law like feasible from a tax collection perspective? Is it going to cost us a lot of money? Like, is it going to cost us money? Is it going to bring us money? How is it going to perform? And this law is going to be very costly for the state of California. First of all, because the small businesses, if you can't do your normal business because you're being surveilled, people will take their business away, and California will lose tax income. So that's going to be very costly for the state of California. Secondly, lawsuits left and right, that'll be nice because that is going to cost the state a lot of money because somebody has to preside over those lawsuits. That's going to cost money to the state, and the list goes on and on and on. So appropriations needs to know all the reasons why this is really going to be costly,
Yep.
because money talks.
It does. That is probably like we've tried the scientific approach. They're politicians. Maybe we should have tried the money approach a lot sooner than the science approach, but hey, whatever. We're now at the money approach. You guys have appropriations is literally next week. So please get out there. Go to the3dprintingnerd.com. Don't do what I did and leave out because it takes you to the wrong place. It's linked in the description.
Yeah.
Go look at who you can reach out to. All the contact information is there. Reach out to the lawmakers. They need to understand it. Like, if 3D Musketeers, as a small business, right? A lot of people see us as a content creator. We're more than that. Okay. We used to actually work with Shapeways back in the day, which was super cool. We were one of the certified printing partners with Shapeways for full color sandstone.
I don't even remember. Those were my days. Gosh.
I doubt we were, all that big and all that, but yeah, I have a long history with Shapeways, which is always funny to me. And like, I was so sad to see them go. I'm like, oh, that's like an industry icon. And then when you brought it back, I'm like, yeah, let's go. They're back. Anyways, like, as a small business, we operate under NDAs, ITAR, CMMC. We operate under situations, documents, and legal recourse that if information that we are making, that we are building, that we are anything gets out, we are financially, legally, and in some cases, criminally liable. And that is a huge problem. It would take 3D Musketeers from the company that it is today and stop it. Hard stop. And
yeah, but I mean,
nothing we can do.
We do defense stuff. There's so many printing companies who do medical stuff, and who do defense stuff. I don't want for my medical clients. Often these are personalized
HIPAA.
pieces.
Yeah.
I can't have this being checked. Same thing if I do things for defense or secret. There's all kinds of secret stuff that we do. I can't have the IP of my clients being checked by a third party. However good that third party might be, however ethical, even if they do it in the most ethical kind of way,
doesn't matter.
I feel it doesn't matter because I have to stick to the NDA with my clients, and so this is also a reason why I'm kind of. Upset is a big word, but this is a reason why I would have hoped that bigger industry parties would have piped up a little bit louder than has been so far. Yeah. I'm really happy with the iFixit people. I'm super happy with Coco Press, LDR Motors. There's a whole bunch of companies that have spoken up. I think kudos to all of them. They've all stuck their neck out. They've all taken a risk. But if you're a massive 3D printing company and you are on the public stock exchange, it would be nice. We know, and this is where we know that they're against this too, because we talk to them. They all tell us. But it's if you have a big PR department, marketing, those kind of things, it gets a hell of a lot harder to speak up, and that is really.
Yep.
And I'm not being angry. I'm not angry with them at all. I understand the implications, and that's
Yeah.
why
We're not
kind of
mad.
more
We're
the
disappointed.
mid-sized. That's why it's the mid-sized companies that can actually speak, because we don't have to deal with, with public, with if you're a public company and you have investors that are in the public market, what you can do is very limited in these kind of situations. And I understand and respect that. And that's why it's more mid-sized companies that are speaking up here. But we know that the big companies don't like it either. And that's why I was also really upset with RBK, the lawyer who and lawmaker who's proposing this bill, who just stands there like in the committee a couple of weeks ago, just flat out lying and saying, well, all the big companies agree. I'm like, woman, like,
Please
ring
give us a
them
list.
out.
Like, if you think they agree, citation needed, bring it,
Yeah, it
Like,
was because they were not on the list of, there was a long list that Steve from Forum listed out of all the companies against it. But every time for gun makers. Sorry.
should we start one any town for gun makers?
Okay, it's 9:30. Like, it's been 9:30, and I was I was up really early. No, Every Time for Gun Safety did not bring a list like that. And
No.
you know what I also thought was really ridiculous about this lady, the lawmaker? Like, sorry, I'm not a fan of her, because she was very disrespectful. She was rolling her eyes, she was like kind of laughing and smirking at all of us. She got really scared when she saw Louis come in, which is really lovely. But she had a bill right before ours where she was talking about, it had something to do with, oh, I forgot what it was. It was she wanted to protect people that like 1099ers, freelancers that are creatives, that work in Hollywood, that build that write stories, and that create scripts and things like that. And she was protecting them against AI, because AI, like, scrapes these people's
Yeah.
writing, and then rehashes it and uses it and like whatever. So she was proposing a bill that would protect these people against this. And she's like, I love these people, I'm so in favor of making sure creatives, can make money, and la di da di da. It's like this whole thing about I love makers and creative people. And like the next bill, she's like, just
Maybe she should work in Hollywood. I don't know, man. Like, this is, yeah, it is
then she's
funny
like,
to watch them
kill the
flip flop.
makers, like, I don't want them. They're really dangerous. All of them. All the 15-year-old boys out there, that's literally what she said. A 50-year-old boy now. You know what my 50-year-old boy does? Like, he's building a motorbike in the garage, and he's 3D printing parts for it so he can, like, that's what he does.
I
Like,
mean, he might not be the safest on that motorbike once it's finished, but it's
oh
got
no.
nothing to do with the 3D printer. Like, look,
No,
I
no.
was once a 15-year-old boy. I did some dumb stuff, but not that dumb. Okay. There's a difference between being in your teens and doing dumb stuff because you don't
Yeah.
know any better, or you knew better and you still did it anyways, versus doing things where it's like, that's just,
You're not
that's a
doing
whole
those,
different
those
level
are
of dumb.
criminal things.
Yeah.
And we kind of had a funny thing because Joan, she was also in opposition. She's a lady who she sells books around 3D printing
Mm-hmm.
for people with disabilities
Yep.
and who are blind. And she was with me at a lawmaker together with some other people, and we're talking to the lawmaker, and I'm literally asking him, what is, you know, why did you vote in favor? Why did you tell your lawmaker to vote in favor of this? He said, well, we're against gun violence. I'm like, sure, I'm against gun violence too, but like,
Yeah.
why do you think this is smart? And so then I asked him, what is for your constituency, because he was in some they were representing a rougher neighborhood of LA, like, what is the biggest reason for gun violence? And then he says, I don't really know those statistics. I'm like, okay. Um,
What?
okay, but you're proposing laws here. Okay.
Sure.
And then
All
I
right.
go like, okay, so what do you guess it would be? He says, well, I think it's gang violence. And then Joan, she just deadpans and she goes like, well, maybe we should give those boys that are in gangs that are 15-year-olds like a 3D printer. They have something better to do than be in a gang.
Honestly, see, like 3D printing is one of those hobbies where if you do 3D printing and you really enjoy it, you won't have time or money to be in a gang.
No, neither.
Like, I'm
She
not
was so
saying
she
that the
was
two are
ready. So
mutually
she
exclusive.
was ready to get her education programs, to those kids, and it was kind of funny. It was just a funny moment because it just, you know, it's gang violence is not known for using 3D printers to find their weapons. It's not the most common way to obtain a weapon. Let's put it like that.
No, no, a Dremel tool in 10 minutes is much easier. But that's the problem. It's like, I understand everyone in the comments of like our short form and some of our streams that we've done with David in them. And it's like, they're like, well, I can go do worse at Home Depot. We know that's the point is it's not about gun control. It starts with guns. Okay.
Digital surveillance.
Like,
It's really about digital
yeah,
surveillance.
it is all about controlling what you can do. What if they just go ahead and update the list? Now all of a sudden you can't make parts for your Maytag washing machine or your
Yes.
Viking oven. Oh, I'd love a Viking oven. But what if you can't all of a sudden do that because now it's been considered an object that you can't do? Well, you already signed up for that, so sucks to suck.
Yeah.
Have fun dealing with it, and it starts to
Yeah. And
limit.
yeah.
I don't like that. I'm like David said, it's end of right to repair, and I'm a
Yes.
big right to repair. I'm not as big as Louis Rossman. Okay. Louis Rossman, pretty big on
He
the right
really
to
loves his
repair
right to
thing,
repair.
okay? But
Yes.
we started 3D Musketeers out of a desire to fix our own stuff, right?
Of course. That's why a lot of people 3D print because they just get frustrated and they
Yep.
want to solve some kind of problem and it's just annoying and it doesn't work any other way. So you just make it.
Yep.
And then 3D printing can be so helpful because you can make more complex shapes, you can make all kinds of things that, usually maybe with your whittle and your piece of wood you can't do. So it is so many people use it to repair things. I mean, we do it in our house. Why not? And yeah, and then if my dishwasher does break and that little thingy on the side with the drawer coming out, yeah, you just print it and you fix it. I can also get like the $30 or the $60 replacement part from Miele, but no, I don't.
It's more fun to fix it
But it's
anyways.
like IP, so now I can't print it. Like even though I
Yep.
just, no.
It's frustrating to see because like look, you have to give credit where it's due. Everytown was very smart in the way they handled this. What they didn't
It's so
expect
clear.
were people like you, were people like David, like Lewis, like Steve, like so many others that got up there and said, no, that this is not what it's about. You're trying to change it. And this is the time, people, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, whatever, go to the link. It's
Yes,
in the
please.
description, the3dprintingnerd.com/AB20447. Fill out emails, write them, give your real,
Submit the
yeah,
letter and tell in your own words why this is going to be expensive
yes,
for the state of California. It needs to stop in the state of California. California is a state that if a law gets passed there, other states will follow. In New York, we already have a law accepted. The good thing about that law, though, is that it first needs to be proved that this software is actually going to be viable. And
yep,
if not, the law will be out of the window. But definitely there's going to be lawsuits around this in the state of New York. But Washington State, I know that my friends at Lethal Shadows have been fighting it there. I think Maryland is now came up, I think.
we saw
New
Delaware, we've
Hampshire.
seen
Sorry,
Colorado,
Delaware. Yes.
New York, Washington, California. I don't
Yeah.
know if there are others, but it's the thing, man. They're going to the easy wins, right? This the challenge that I have is that if we can defeat it in California, as far as I'm concerned, it's defeated everywhere. Because if you can beat this in California,
Yeah, but that's why your point to reach out. You don't have to be
yeah,
from California to object.
yeah,
So
and you don't.
even if you live in Kentucky, or even if you live in Louisiana, or you live in Minnesota, or you're in Rhode Island, it doesn't matter. Even if you're European or Asian or South American or African, it doesn't matter. You can still put your objection in. It's
Mhm.
okay. It's the same thing. I flew to Sacramento. even though I live on the East Coast. It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if you sit there and you're watching this. If you're not from the state of California, please still go to the website that is referenced here and do all the things that you can do to stop this thing in California, because it's also not stopping only in the US. It's gonna go to Europe too. And it's already being proposed. And there's other problems with it, where if you even receive a file that has a gun part, then you're already criminally liable, which is great. So now, talking about
Now you can just send
if
your
you don't
enemies the
like me,
files.
send it to me. And I'm a
Boy.
criminal.
I saw
So
Brit getting on me for using Nancy Drew as the investigator. I'm sorry, Brit. I'm sorry. That was the first thing that came to mind. I don't know. I'm gonna need a better name for an investigator, you know, that sucks at their job. But yeah, it California is kind of the proving ground, if you will, the fighting ground for all of this. And you know, it is important, very important, that if you're listening to this, you're watching this saying, I'm upset. Take just 5 seconds. Bring it down a notch, calm down. Politicians don't care that you're upset. You can tell them that you're upset, but don't rage to them in emails. Because
no,
at that point, you're
they're not
not
going to read
helping the
it.
fight, you're hurting it.
No, I agree. I'm thank you for calling that out. It has to send like real reasons and real, we can all do big conspiracy theories and spew things at them and like whatever. It's not going to work. It's just like, why is this bad for the state of California? Why is it going to cost them money? That's where it's going to go
Yep.
next week. It's all about the money. So tell in your own words why you think this is going to cost the state a lot of money. I know it's going to cost them a lot of tax income for sure.
Oh yeah.
It's also going to, that's just terrible. It's also, but and just the sheer cost of all the lawsuits that are going to come out of this makes it completely untenable. But share in your own words why you think that's the case, and spam every single lawmaker his office, and also directly submit a letter to the portal of the state
Yep.
of California.
Yeah, because if people think, oh, it's never gonna happen, like, look, I'm in Florida. Okay. If there is one state where it's unlikely to come to, it's Florida. I'm already gearing up for a fight here. Because if it does go through in California, even if it is the thinnest, crappiest version of this bill that we could think of, they're going to go elsewhere. I know this might be crazy to some people. Their name is Everytown. It's in the name, guys. They're not just stopping at one town. They're going to others. They're choosing the easy wins. They didn't expect the makers actually care. They didn't expect it. But we
No,
do. And we have to
but
work together.
this is a community of lots of very, very smart people,
And
and
passionate,
and
which can sometimes
passionate
be good and bad.
people. I know
Yeah.
sometimes the emotions get better of us, but
Yeah.
um, but
Myself
there
included.
but there is, I do think in this community of makers, there's a lot of people who really want other people in this community to also be successful. And at Thangs, we really believe in a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yep.
That's what we need to do here. Just taking, this is one thing a colleague of mine at Thangs always says, and I agree with him. So I think this is where we have to stick together as a community, and it doesn't matter if you're a print farm and somebody else has a print farm. It doesn't matter. All print farmers unite and fight against this law, because it's for the betterment of everybody's business.
Yeah. I will gladly stand alongside of any other service bureau in the nation, in the world,
Yeah,
right? And say, we all support this of it dying together, right? We support the movement that the makers are making. I've made public statements for myself, for 3D Musketeers, that we are against this bill. We do not want this anywhere. We do not like it. And it's got nothing to do with gun control. And still, the comments don't get it. It's not about gun control. It is about controlling what you can and can't do with the things that you own. And let's assume it even is about gun control. A shape does not determine intent. So
no.
how is this even? You're not controlling anything other than controlling your way into people's homes. And look, I don't know about the rest of you, but the less the government is inside of my private home, the happier I am, okay? Like, I've said it before. My goal in life is to have as little interaction with every three-letter organization as humanly possible, okay? It's my goal, right?
Yeah.
I,
Well, it's the privacy of your home, and so
right.
it has anything to do with that. And as long as you stick to federal laws and to normal state laws and behave like a normal human being, then nobody has anything to do what happens inside of your house. So
Yeah,
it's
if I
very
want to
simple.
ride an alligator inside of my own house, it's legal in Florida.
I'm not going to come visit you, but you go ahead. I'll come when the alligator is gone. So
Yeah.
to have
The
a coffee.
alligators aren't the problem. It's the Florida men that are more the problem. But
Yeah.
as David says, AB 2047 lets private individuals, not just the attorney general or city and county attorneys, file civil suits over printer sales with penalties up to $25,000 per violation and attorney's fees. If you think that there's already this nanny state coming after your rights, yeah, this just makes it way worse. And if you think, well, I mean, that sucks. Yeah, it sucks. You don't want some person who's pissed off because you're not following the HOA rules to all of a sudden say that you're doing bad things to your 3D printer and make you have to go to court about it. Yeah, I went to the HOA piece. I went there. You're absolutely right. I went there. Because you know what? I hate this law as much as I hate HOAs. And that's a
Anyways.
pretty high bar. All right. HOAs are way up there in my
Well,
HOAs
I
and
mean,
Flock are very
you
similar.
could print a part, for your lawnmower, and then could, like make the flag pattern indeed, and there you go. Then you've just pissed off the HOA guy. So
I don't want to talk about my lawnmower right now. It's a very sore subject for me. My grass is knee length right now, and my lawnmower continues to break on me, and it's just getting worse. It's a problem. It's fine. It's one of those funny things. I've been dealing with
no,
it
but
for
it
like the
goes
past 3
back to
years.
digital surveillance, and it goes back to any designer out there, and specifically
Yeah,
designers that make money. I mean, it's innovation, and it's not just the designers of Thangs who are selling maybe jewelry or home decor or like, garage, organization systems, hobby figurines, all kinds of things like that.
it's way
But it's
more.
also, you have also designers who might not be on Thangs who use it to innovate, like medical innovations, like the
Yeah,
lady that was there 2 weeks ago, to build new business around this. If you think about, and this actually was part of my testimony, and I have to repeat this. If I look at, if there's one thing that I'm proud of having built Shapeways, is that the amount of people that have come to me and told me that they were able to start their business because they were able to use the Shapeways service, and now they have a thriving business. And there are businesses out there that make, $500,000 a year or $100,000 a year, but there's also businesses that have started that are now bigger than Shapeways is now. And there's quite a few of those. And I'm very proud that having built Shapeways, that I was able to do that. And it's not, I just helped facilitate that innovation with our service, but it was the ingenuity of these people and their, tenacity and their resilience to build thriving businesses out of that. And if you start stifling that because IP, like gets oh well, you just made a part, it's a cylinder. Oh, you can't put that into your new innovation. Boom, then people have to do workarounds. It becomes more expensive. You become
yep,
less competitive against countries that don't have these types of bills. I mean, it just keeps, the list goes on. The cost for the state and for the country as a whole is really, really big.
it is.
And it's just not, again, not okay.
Now, can we talk about this software a little bit? I know that
Yeah,
there's some limitations, that we can't go too deep into it, but this idea of a software that either lives on the machine, on your computer, that has a library of things and can
yeah,
somehow determine from G code, which is like the way that it's been explained to me, the way that I've seen it explained by, I'm going to put air quotes over experts, that, oh, they can determine this from G code. Like, is this even possible?
As far as I know, not. Because G code is nothing but go left and go right and drop something here. It's
Right.
like, I mean, to put it in really dumb words.
I mean,
So
but that's pretty. It, that is dumbing it down, but that's really accurate way to dumb it down, right? Like that's what G code is. It's make this move this much in X, this much in Y, this much in Z, and it draws a straight line. That's all that G code does. Just draws straight lines. So how do you do curves? It's a lot of straight lines. Okay, look at your G code.
yeah, it's a lot of short straight lines.
Yep.
So,
I know
but
there's
it's
arc fitting. We're gonna get railed for. Oh, but what about arc fitting? Look, all right, cut it out. Write the
no, but it's
lawmakers.
I mean, honestly, I don't really care about the software.
Mhm.
Even if it's hypothetically possible, and to do this within the G code, I've not heard people say that it's possible. Most people say it's not possible who are experts on this. Even if it's technically feasible, it doesn't matter. In the end, it is about the First Amendment, the Fourth and the Fifth,
Yep.
and it's about the fact that in the privacy of your own home, you don't want to have any digital surveillance. It's a philosophical standpoint. So even if it's possible, I don't care. It's like, I
I
don't
like
care.
it. Even if it's possible, I don't give a damn. You know, I love that
It's not the
myself.
point.
Yeah, it's not the point.
It's not the point. It is just not the point. And I think, I think there's a lot of great things you can do with recognizing parts. I think there's fantastic things you can do with this kind of software in certain kinds of circumstances with, having old 2D, having old libraries or like things that you scanned and knowing where to buy it. There's, like if you can use, comparing and geometric search for fantastic things. And I think that technology has a lot of potential. But I just don't think it should be used for digital surveillance. And that's more as a
Right.
philosophical standpoint than anything else.
I will say the other thing that I kind of have an issue with here is there's only really one company standing up saying, "Oh, we can definitely do it." I don't want a single supplier contract here because then they're going to charge whatever the hell they want, and some of the investors are Palantir, and I don't like that. Companies that exist to surveil humans, and this just gets you into the house. We have talked about this since day one with certain brands and them having, you know, technology that they can take pictures of your build plate even when the print is not running. They've got humidity sensors, they've got temperature sensors, they've got all these different
Mhm.
sensors that are consistently and continuously logging data. It doesn't take very long till if a company that liked to track humans had access to this data, definitely to make sure you're not printing guns, could determine whether or not you're home. Because, like many other people, when I'm not home, it gets a little warmer in my house because it's expensive to keep my house cool. So, why would I want it? And I'm going to say cool. I keep my house at 77 during the day when I'm here, and it goes
I'm
up to
with you.
it goes up to 80 when I'm not here. And that's just because I'm poor, okay? It's expensive to keep something air conditioned
Oh,
here in
I'm a
Florida.
woman. I'm finally not cold.
Oh God, the better three quarters would probably love me more if I went to 67 degrees rather than 77. But
Yeah.
I could go buy a house with what my new with what my new energy bill would be. It's upsetting to me that we end up with like single source options that can charge whatever they want because oh they're the only ones that in theory can do it, and if all these false positives occur, boom boom, but we have this compiling issue or compounding issue of well who's at fault, and all the fingers are going to point directly to the end user.
I think in the end, it doesn't matter who provides the software, if they're a fantastic company or not,
Yep.
it goes back to the point that you don't want to have the surveillance. That's just
Correct.
where it comes from.
Yeah,
And
I
I
don't want
think
surveillance.
you just can't have it. And even if the party who helps with building the software does all the right things 100% perfectly, if then somebody else hacks it and it gets into the wrong hands, there we go again. So, and yeah. that's just the way I think about it. But I think it ends up just being a philosophical thing. You just don't want to have digital surveillance. I don't want it on my 2D printer. I don't want it. I don't want it on my 3D printer. I don't want it on whatever tool I use in my house. I
I just
mean, it's
don't want it.
like it's the same thing. Like, do I have like Amazon Ring in my house? Of course not. There's smarter ways to do this, and you keep all your data. You keep your data to yourself. Like, use Home Assistant. Good luck. Then you don't have Amazon watching what you're doing. Yeah, you have your data. Like,
Well, see, this is
that's
simple. If you want to upset everybody that has connected homes, you just say, okay, Google, set an alarm for 2 o'clock in the morning to remind me to subscribe to 3D Musketeers. Hey, Alexa, set an alarm for 2 o'clock in the morning to
yeah,
remind me to subscribe to 3D Musketeers. And that's how you piss off everybody with IoT devices that don't
yeah,
understand the implication around it. And
yeah,
look, Tasmaniac Guitar says, don't touch my thermostat. I could have done it. I could have done it. I could have told your smart home to turn down or turn up your temperature, but I don't want to trigger the dads out there that would just, hurt us in the comments. Cause like, I get it. You don't want it, but there are a lot of people that say, well, I have some level of connectivity for convenience. At what point does convenience and surveillance start to overlap each other? And I think we found it. I think we found the the point where it does.
yeah. Well, this is nothing to do with convenience. This particular law.
Yeah.
So
Well, networking the printers definitely does, right?
yes. Okay. Yeah. You're
Networking the
right.
printers definitely is a convenience thing. Based on the comments that we have on the Making Awesome Reslice channel, my
Okay.
God, it is all
Okay.
about
I'm with you.
convenience. But
Yeah.
when those printers that are now networked get an over-the-air update that you can't stop, that enables all of these, we're going to put air quotes on safety features because they're definitely for your safety, and you can't roll back the software, you're going to be pretty pissed.
Yeah. Not every update is an update that makes you happy.
And that's why we don't advocate for automatic updates on anything. And I just had to turn it off for Windows 11. My friggin' computer turned its automatic updates back on. I had to go back and turn them off. Like, no, stop it. I don't want you to update. I choose when you update.
Yeah, but I think that's why this community is so interesting in fighting this bill, because
Yes.
this community has a lot of, to go back to your words, passionate people who truly understand what's happening, and that are really care about these types of things like privacy and what we were just discussing. Whereas the average consumer, I'm kind of, I got my iPhone and I just click, install, and I'm kind of dumb there, and I just do it. And I don't really realize what I'm agreeing to there, because a lot of consumers do that, and I'm with a lot of ways I'm that way too. But when it comes to my IoT devices, when it comes to the privacy of my home, like my physical home, all of that changes. And I think the 3D printing community is actually very well versed in this, because they have these passionate conversations about networking versus not networking printers. Um, so they understand this really well, and that's why, in a way, they're fighting with the wrong community here. I really think that they thought they could kind of slide it, this surveillance law in under the premise of, fighting gun
Yeah.
violence. But I do think, even though we might have woken up a little bit too late, all of us, and it's we really have to fight this. And I want to say, we are not guaranteed right now that
No.
we're going to win this in California. Not at all. It's not the odds are not in our favor, um, and this is going to be a long, long fight. So because it's
Yeah.
first California, but then the other states, and so whether we win in California or not, it's still going to pop up. Um, um, it's
Yeah, they're
still
not
going
going
to
to
pop
stop.
up. Sorry, I got a text message. It's um, sorry, it's not going to stop. So we have to keep fighting this. So we have to really be in this for the long run, as a community.
We do. And, I, again, they were smart for trying to sneak it through, but thank God there's a few of us that are smarter, right? Because otherwise this would have gone unnoticed and nothing would have happened. And all of a sudden it would have become criminal to do certain things. And I think if it wasn't for efforts from people like you, Tobin, and others, that this bill would have likely gone through pretty close to its original way, which would have been way worse than it is now. But like you said, the fight's not over. It's not over. Go to the3dprintingnerd.com/AB2047. Links are in the description. Go send messages, right? Tell them what you think, right? As Tobin says, keep up the fight and please write to appropriations. Ever wanted to talk shit to a politician? Now you have the green light. I would say just talk about it via money, right? This is all about the cost of all of this and what it is going to take. Yes, California has like the 5th largest economy in the world, which is crazy to think that a state amongst 49 others has the 5th largest economy in the world, which likely makes up the vast majority of the US economy, but fine, is here, and it's left up to the nerds once again to come back and have to fight. It's like is it Revenge of the Nerds? Is that the movie where the nerds have to fight back? Like, this is what it feels like to me. And I couldn't be more proud of our industry getting together. Like Nico from Nico Industries.
Yeah,
He was
Nico.
there.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah,
designer. He
well,
lives in California. This directly impacts his
him.
ability to do his work. And if you don't know
Yeah,
Nico's work, it's pretty awesome. Nico Industries, go look him up. His work is amazing. You've likely seen him, some of his work on Uncle Jesse's channel if you happen to watch other creators. But
yeah, he's a great guy. So,
yeah,
and he does not like this bill at all. So
mhm.
I'm really glad that he, because he's physically been there too to Sacramento, and he's really put, and he was there quite. He was one of the first ones to really speak up about this.
Yeah. And look, if you are out there, you own a small business, make a statement. Get out there, make a statement. Your customers aren't going to care. My customers didn't care. They didn't care at all. Well, we did get one hate mail about it, but they weren't a customer, so whatever. We get hate mail all the time. I don't really care. It's actually really funny to make fun of them, but your customers aren't going to care, right? Because if you explain and you show that it is not about gun control, that it is about controlling what you can and can't do with the things that you own, that it is surveillance technology for things that have no bearing on the vast majority of us in the world, then who are they to say that what you're doing is bad? Because what you're doing is good. You're fighting for the community.
Yeah.
Marlene, what else, like, for those that are in states, like I'm in Florida, right? Florida's a not a very Democrat state. Uh,
No.
what can people in states that this hasn't gone to do to start preparing themselves? Can they start writing their own constituents? Like, what can they do to try to get ahead of every town?
First thing is to really put your effort to California. I do really have to say that. Start there because that's where it needs to stop, because then it's less likely to pop up, or it is less likely, it becomes less likely to be successful in other states,
Okay.
because then there's a precedent of fighting against it. So if you're in any other state, first put your fight in, like, you have a few days left. Do it tomorrow, do it tonight,
Hmm.
and get your opposition in clear in the state of California. And then what's going to happen is that if you're in any other state, there will be, just keep an eye on the website. But there will be a website developed, as far as I understand, by the community, that will really start collecting what is happening in various states, and then you can sign up there. So if you keep an eye on this, on you, or you keep an eye on 3D Printing Nerd, then at some point you will know where to go. You can sign up, and then that website will tell you what you can do for your particular state, whom to contact, what to do, when to do it, etc. So I would just say, keep your eye on 3D Musketeers, keep your eye on Joel Telling and David Tobin, and then from there on out, there will be more information coming available for other states and how to pitch in there. Because what we're going to need is just like what happened in California, where 250 people showed up in Sacramento. Um, if and I was kind of disappointed because there was an article in the LA Times a week and a half ago on Sunday talking about it, and it kind of was limited to like, well, this is about Hollywood, and now prop makers
Yeah.
can't make any props. And it's like, wait a minute, the story here is that there was 250 people that came to Sacramento to protest this. That's the story.
Yeah.
That this is a civilians rising, and so we're gonna need everybody in every state to physically go there, because you can't have people like me flying to Sacramento and then to the next state and the next state. I can make it a full-time.
You're not busy doing other things though,
No,
right?
not at all. But
Yeah,
it's no,
I
but it's
didn't
like
think so. You're just made
no,
of
but
time.
yeah, of course. But but we're gonna have to have people that are going to show up to local hearings,
Yeah.
and so sign up whenever that's available, so you know what's going on, so that we can get hordes of people to every single state where this is going to happen.
Yeah. And
That's what needs to happen.
look, I'm with you in that I understand that some companies can't speak up or, won't speak up for, geopolitical reasons. Like I get it.
Yeah,
I think that they will find that the harm they're doing by not speaking up is worse than the harm that could potentially come if they did. Like LDO Motors spoke up, Big Tree Tech spoke up. Like, why couldn't bigger companies stand up? I want to see more companies stand up, right? At
I
the
would
end of
love
the
to see that too. Yeah.
it can't just be the small people. Like, I would argue that, Marlene, your two companies, Shapeways and Thangs, are the two largest public company. Well, I guess they're not really public, but you get
Not
what I'm
anymore.
saying. Like public
Yeah,
facing companies.
companies.
I
Yeah.
guess now iFixit potentially could have a claim to that title, but up until iFixit, you held the titles for the first and second largest corporation to say, we oppose this.
Yeah. And I did that in help strengthening, the message that they were just putting out there, that Lewis was right, because Lewis had, has really been very vocal with, and he's been getting his following to follow, to really come.
Yep.
But I've also done it in hopes that to show that me speaking up is actually not gonna harm, uh, my two companies,
Yep.
and that doing what's right in the end, whether it's a left-wing thing or a right-wing thing, I really don't care.
Yep. Doesn't
It's like
matter.
what ethically and morally is right in the end, for the 3D printing business, should hopefully then not harm what I'm doing in the industry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it just, yeah, I hope my courage. I definitely was a bit scared about it, but I hope it makes a difference in stopping these bills.
Look,
So
your courage is inspiring to me, and it's why, like, after I heard you talk, both in some of the meetings that we've had and hearing you, watching you on the live stream, get up there in front of these people and talk to them in a meaningful way, it is something that hit me somewhere special, right? It is something that's inspiring to me. And it's why I said, I don't care what it takes. I want you on the show. If we got to do
oh,
it at a random time on a random day, I don't care. I will make time for it, because your voice is important and people need to hear it, and people need to hear it from you and not just from me. They're used to me yelling into a microphone all the time. They're used to me being the Cuban Polish guy that I am. What they're not used to is hearing it from people that companies that they know, they use, they likely love and respect, but maybe they don't know the faces behind it.
yeah.
You're the face, and it's
Yeah, and
important.
I thought, not to make this about gender or sex. I think just showing up as a woman there and a
Yes.
business owner, even though I really don't, I'm more of a merit-based person in the way that I work with people, but like, especially because every time for gun safety showed up with all of these women,
Yep.
and it was kind of like women against tech bros, and
Yeah, Tech Bros and Marlene.
I was
Yeah,
like,
we
and I
can.
was like, you know what? I'm not going to come across as a tech bro here.
No.
And I was hoping that that would be helpful in that sense, you know?
Yeah,
And,
it is it is very easy to paint with a broad brush in this industry, and I can use my exact metrics from YouTube. In fact, I have a second monitor. I'm gonna go get it right now, and show that yeah, this industry is male dominated. So yes,
of
it
course it
is
is. Yes.
nice. It is nice to see someone who isn't the same tech bro, if you will. Our channel is 97.3% male, 2.6% female, 0.1% user specified for the past 28
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Also, 56.8% are not subscribed. So, I don't know. There's like 69 of you here watching. Fix that if you don't mind. But it is so it depresses me a little bit to see a lot of these big companies that could be throwing some real weight around this to have real like experts that have multiple doctorates, right, be a part of this, and they're just staying quiet.
One thing I want to add for everybody who's watching, put your own voice in, but if you have friends in this industry, call 10 of them tomorrow or text 10 of them tonight and
Yeah.
tell them what to do. Because then you just multiply it yourself. Because there's just only so much of me, there's only so much of you. But if we all encourage 10 other people or 20 other people to do something, then we're multiplying ourselves. It's much more scalable that way. So if you finish this podcast, and you want to jump into you want to jump on your computer and you want to jump into action, then not only contact the state of California and the lawmakers and put in upload a letter into the portal and tell it why it's wrong from a cost point of view for the state, but also contact 10 of your friends, put it out there on social media, whatever it is. But specifically also contact your friends directly and make sure that they actually do it, because even blasting on social media is great, you get awareness, but you want to make sure there's follow up and follow through with this.
Yep. Follow through is one of the biggest things, right? Anyone that understands a real fight, unless it's like boxing for sport, knows that the follow through is really where it matters. You can throw a haymaker, but if you got no follow through, it's not going to do anything. These lobbyists, these politicians, they don't have glass jaws. We need to work together to build a better community. And if we don't, then hey, honestly, we get what we got coming to us, you know?
Yeah.
Um Grubby said subscribe. You can't tell me what to do. You're right, Grubby. I can't tell you what to do, but if I do have this in subscriber only mode, which I do, that means the only way you can comment here is if you are subscribed. Uh, but look, Marlene, I am inspired more. Thank you for making time. It's 10:30 at night. I need to give you
Yeah.
your evening back. And for
Yep.
those that are like, why didn't you talk about this earlier? Marlene, when did we decide we were going to do this?
Yesterday morning.
Well,
Well,
when
4 p.m.
yeah, I was gonna say, when did we actually decide? I sent you a message at 2:45 saying, on for this evening, what time? And that's how important this is. I blocked my entire calendar this evening just in case we could make this happen. And
Yeah.
if
Same.
you all have to understand that Marlene is way busier than I am, and I'm busy. And she's got a family. I just have a cat that's incredibly needy. And Amber B, but she has work, so I leave her alone right now. But please get out there. If you are local, please make sure that you write. If you are not local, please make sure that you write. And yes, as Marlene says, talk to your friends, talk to your family. I don't care if you got 3 friggin' followers on Facebook and your mom is all 3 of them. You need to go out there and say something, because this is an industry-changing problem that takes 3D printing from the open, vast, amazing community that we have and starts to punch it down into a small box, and none of us want this.
Yeah. Yes, it's gonna be an awkward conversation because most people will respond like, "Wait, what are you doing? Are you like anti? Do you want to improve gun? Do you want to have less gun violence?" But then once you actually get to explain, then people immediately agree. So
Yep.
yes, it's slightly awkward in the beginning, but talk to people and get them to do it. Because as soon as people understand it, they know that this law needs to be rejected.
And Marlene, before we go, I've got one question for you. And
Yeah.
this is completely has nothing to do with the topic. It's just something something that in your life so far in this industry, what is a piece of advice that you could leave with people? Be that if you want ones just to go like for the lady makers out there, you want ones for makers in general, you have the floor. Give them a piece of
Gosh.
advice that has stuck with you in your life that you think is valuable for others to have. I know I'm
Oh
putting you on the
gosh.
spot. I did not
Yes.
prep you for this.
At 10:30 when my brain is
I
partially
know,
fried.
but like that's
Um,
part of the fun too, is not prepping.
what is it learning for me in this industry? Um, well, I think if you, I think for me, like, and I just want to go back to my Thangs members, and this is for the makers. It's like when you start out making, your designs are gonna suck.
Yeah.
Um, but people, as you keep practicing, your skill improves. You start finding your niche, the thing that you're interested in, the thing that you're good at, and you develop your skills. So stick with it. You're going to be making beautiful things, and you will discover what you're good at. So that's what I would like to end with.
Perfect. Stick with it. Never give up. Never surrender. That's what it's all about here.
Yep.
Everybody like, subscribe, share, all those things, and go check out the3dprintingnerd.com/AB2047 is linked in that description down below so that you can reach out to those that actually need to hear you right now. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. And own the things that you buy. Don't let the government inside of your house. That's weird. Take care.